Y'all, what's up? I'm totally having to do this from my phone. Skynet won't let me be great. Anyway, I'm wearing my Renaissance woman shirt from Black Wealth Renaissance. What's up, everybody? Um, there's always someone's going to dislike the video. Let's start this video off with Sugar Erica from the Classy Client blog. If you know, I'm the author of the Smartphone Millionaire book, How to Invest in People, Businesses, and Real Estate from the Palm of Your Hand. Okay, and it's been a roller coaster. So the past 30, 60 days, I've been telling you guys off and on about making sure you have systems lined up, make sure you have different merchants lined up. Don't always depend on PayPal, Cash App, yada, 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 right? But if you'd like to drop a coin or two in Cash App, right there. What ended up happening is I was locked out of my favorite two things I use to fund my business, which is Stripe and PayPal. Here's why that sucks. Stripe is on multiple businesses. Like I have multiple businesses that use Stripe. It's kind of a swipe system, take payments over the phone. And when I got locked out of my baby, I was like, no, not Stripe. Well, then, same time, got locked out of PayPal. Here's the thing. When I tell you guys about people doing chargebacks or saying something's fraud or just needing a refund, I'd rather you just message me and my staff and ask for a refund than go through all that trauma, because that does hurt companies. Now, it's all good. It's all good. We're getting released. Some of those funds released this week, but it's been a long 30 days. And what it did in that whole time frame is I started figuring out different ways, different payment methods, different merchant systems, calling up friends. I had a couple friends who I'll probably bring him back on the channel in December, him to come on and talk about his merchant system, because he deals with this daily. He deals with companies calling him with hundreds of thousands of dollars locked up in accounts, thousands of dollars locked up in accounts. And because PayPal is the biggest boy on the block, they're just stuck. Now, here's the thing. I'm always a pay attention to trends. I pay attention to what people are most comfortable using, what are their most comfortable methods. And you know what? QuickBooks came through in the end. QuickBooks came through in the end for some of my payments and for some of the payroll for staff, but it's a very much a learning lesson that these third-party platforms all perform the same. At some point, they don't like something you're doing, they don't like where you're sending traffic from, or you get too many chargebacks, and this happens. Now, funny enough, Grant Cardone's twin brother has a company. Their whole business is fighting chargebacks. Now, I didn't think it was that much of a problem till, of course, I and many others, when I went into different mastermind groups, asked me, hey, has anybody been locked out of PayPal? Anybody been locked out of Stripe? It was across the board unanimous. Lots of people had been locked out. They're like, hey, girl, if you sold $300,000, $400,000 via PayPal, even happens even more. So I tell you that I literally created a set of courses on a whole nother website because I was so mad at Thinkific and because I was so mad at PayPal and Stripe. I was like, no worries, I'm going to put my stuff on a whole nother platform and use my own merchant services. Now, was I pissed? Yes. Did it fall under the Erica, remember your rules? You got to have systems in place so that these things don't happen to you and you're like stuck like Chuck. The point of all that, me telling you this whole background, telling you this whole story, is it's part of the reason I've been created all those classes. I talked about ways around certain business models. I talked about ways around things, ways to use other banks, other merchants, ways to collect payment. And I had heard some of these things and I said, oh, it'll never happen to me. And now that it's happened to me, and you're talking about multiple figures and multiple companies and VAs can't get paid in Philippines and doing all these things, you have to do all this runaround. It gave me time to like sit back and go, what the crap? Now, if you haven't noticed, over the past 13 days or so, I've been traveling. I was originally in Texas, and I decided to do a pop-up in Detroit and Cleveland. Why? Because sometimes you have to show people you really mean business when you get there. And so I hope you guys enjoyed the video earlier from the tour of the 30K Bando. That's real life, real things that are happening. And part of why I do this whole channel is to show you what's possible, to show you real numbers, to not let you be led down some magic rabbit holes of magic beans that, oh yeah, there's so much money out here doing A, B, and C. No, I give you the real, the raw, and the rugged. Because if no one tells you the truth, you'll be out here chasing rainbows. Oh yeah, I'm gonna jump into trucking. Oh yeah, I'm gonna jump into this. That's fine. If you want to try different businesses, that's absolutely fine. But make sure they tell you the pitfalls and the mistakes. That's why I'm very transparent about Stripe, transparent about PayPal, transparent about how these things can really jack up your business. Now you're gonna say, well, you should just have more savings. Every business in America runs on cash flow. Every business in America runs on velocity of money, moving daily for little things, little subscriptions, little bit of hosting, little things can get thrown off track when your main payment processor goes down or locks all your money up. So I want you to have opportunities to make money and still not have your money be held back from you. So again, it took about 72 hours, but I found about 22 different workarounds. I was like, okay, y'all gonna do me like that? No worries. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna move this money here, 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 and here. And I really spent that time digging in on it. Now, again, I took about 13 days away from town, so it really forced me to really use the computer and really figure out, okay, how can I do all these things without being in person? Who can I DocuSign? Who can I travel to see? Who can I complain to? How many times I got to call this number on the phone, 1-800 number? It's been some lessons. So definitely, you'll see a lot of that in the class bundle. Again, that class bundle over there, it's about 20 classes I had put together that I was going to release, and I just ended up getting so pissed off because this whole thing, I put them on a whole other website, and I'll probably release them right before Black Friday, not like right on Black Friday, because I want you guys to be able to see them. It got a little hot here, so I'm going to go ahead and shake it off. Got a little hot, so take this off. So, but part of that is learning to be flexible, learning to have a workaround, learning that one platform don't hold all your money. One monkey don't stop no show. When it comes to real estate, when it comes to trucking, there will always be someone else. There'll be another person you can hire. And that's part of why I talk about that. Now, you see the title and you're like, everybody's moving into cabins. What is that about, Erica? Well, in me talking about payment processors and all those issues, I want to talk to you about following trends and how it'll mess your money up. It'll mess your life up and mess your money up, right? So part of the trend people kept seeing was like, man, Erica, if I just get in a van and I drive around, I'll save so much money, girl. I'll save all this money because I'll be in a van. Now, here's something you guys weren't paying attention to. Many of these people doing van life, they had jobs, right? Or they were in cars, still traveling to work 9 to 5, or they had jobs where they still had to go, and then they had the van at work, and then they took it and parked it and went to sleep somewhere. Van life was a temporary movement of hipsterness, right? But eventually, like everything in life, you get tired of having to go run to Planet Fitness to take a shower and go pee in the Planet Fitness gym and poop, okay? Just like everything in life, you get tired of that. Like, hey, what you guys don't pay attention to is that diesel runs most of those vans you see in the van life. Diesel, and diesel's not cheap everywhere. What you end up seeing is people being cold. Man, it's so cold. You know, like there's a lot of things you guys aren't paying attention to because it's trendy. And man, I can save money, but you gotta really listen to the numbers on how much money people are saving. Well, with that being said, a ton of the van life people, like I've been talking about for a while, they're moving into tiny homes. They're moving into cabins in the middle of the woods. There's literally 25 channels of people who are moving into cabins in the woods. And everybody's like, man, how can you afford that? Well, you got to see where they're living. Some of these people are moving 5 hours away from cities just to get a cabin in the woods. Okay? Like some of these people are moving to rural places you've never even heard of because the most of their interaction is this thing right here, this YouTube world. And they work from what? Their computer, their laptop, right? The van life stories was very popular. Now, if you pay attention to most people on YouTube, they kind of go here, like I'm not even joking, fitness, and then she got somebody, she's a couple, and then they talk about being Christian couples, and then they have a baby, and now it's a family channel, and then they, you know what I mean? They just progress and keep it going. That is their business model. And I want people to understand that you can have other business models. You don't have to get stuck with, oh my God, I'm stuck in this van, it's cold, my views are going down, and it's about to be winter. See, a lot of people aren't traveling like they used to because of the cough, right? And so I watched a lot of these channels just to get that feedback. And I also started looking at information about mobile homes, right? You know, we think of mobile homes in a certain way, but when people start needing to save money, mobile home looking really good, sounding really good. When you start complaining about those Rust Belt towns and the old 30K minus house, you know, those 30K houses start looking really good when you got the money. And I think people are disregarding the natural human trends of people, that they will need somewhere to stay. That's reasonable. They will eventually have kids. This is too far. The camera's right. They'll eventually have kids, and they'll eventually want to park it somewhere. It's just natural life cycles. That's not even a weird occurrence. Just like you saw those guys living in Vietnam in $100 apartments, right? Half those channels disappeared. And the other half, if you check them out, they moved back to London. They moved back to Australia. They moved back to somewhere. They moved to Singapore. They moved back somewhere just because eventually the endless travel by themselves did what, right? It was trendy. And so I don't want you who are watching trendy living to do that in business as well. I want you to be able to get in business and realize you can commit and develop business in any form, any fashion, anywhere, right? They can cut all my platforms off if they had to, and I would still go out and do a service business or a person face-to-face business, word of mouth business, connect with people business. I tell you, there's a lot of influencers and social media people that I'm going to be bringing on, Middleman to Millions and a couple other courses, showing you guys how they're segueing. Now, they're not leaving online money. Now, don't get it twisted. Online money is beautiful. Everybody would love to make online money. Online money is a nice thing. When you start really getting down and pairing your reality of how much you financially need, a lot of these people in van life, they do the YouTube kick them $1,000 a month. That's gas money. YouTube kick them $2,000 a month. That's, they don't got to go back and get a job. YouTube kick them $3,000 or a few consultation calls, few, ebooks, $3,000. They're living well. A lot of these people bought these cabins, and if you don't hear the price, but if you go look up some of the areas they've been bought in, they're like $9,000. They're half abandoned, half broken down. They're like $16,000 for 7 acres. Right? So you're talking about people who are using probably a credit card. You know what I mean? Why am I bringing this up? Because we're going to have a long winter. And listen, I'm exhausted from the election. You probably see me on Facebook going crazy and on Twitter going crazy. But at the end of the day, we're going to have a long winter because people follow trendy, but sometimes they follow it too late. Now, what do I mean they follow it too late? They get off Amazon FBA too late. They get off Shopify too late. They get off the selling things online but never making any sales too late. They get off the fitness YouTube too late, right? They get off the talking gossipy channel thing too late, right? And they get out of the van life too late. There's a lot of things that I want to talk about on this channel that I can never fit them all in there. But I want you to realize that I really want you to walk away with real skills. Everybody wants to have online money. And the part of the reason me sharing about the PayPal and the Stripe and the issues with logins and all this other mess, and even meet Kevin was even complaining about Teachable. Because it's not easy. Because every business you will ever have will have struggles or drama, or there'll be something that's a linchpin in it. You name the business, I'll tell you there's something in it that somebody, if they're honest, will tell you there's a problem, right? I remember talking to somebody and they're like, oh man, why would you want to deal with real estate rentals? 88 to 90% of people are still getting their rental income. You know who's not getting a lot of their rental income? Apartments. A lot of people in apartments are not paying. It's the size, it's the density, and it's also the counties that don't enforce it. When it comes to single family homes, I don't know what it is, but depending on the state now, it's a lot easier to get tenants out and to mobilize them to exit themselves, right? Another thing I noticed the past 30 days is I was being careless in my systems, and it made a dent in a trend in the money, and I was like, whoa. So I went back and reviewed about 30, 40 videos. I was like, oh yeah, you forgot to do this, forgot to do that, forgot to put this in. So you got to actually say, are you running a business or are you running a hobby? Are you following trends or are you doing real business? Now look, I'm going to read some of you guys' comments. Not going to keep you here all night, but I just had to speak on that a lot of third-party platforms, if you go Google YouTube, you'll see where people are being locked out of different things. Different things are being cut, right? How one guy, credit card cut off, he couldn't keep doing his fake Amazon FBA business because he couldn't buy supplies, right? So there's a lot of things that, no matter the business, you'll have some type of struggle, and you got to find ways to work around that and not be completely discouraged by it. So let me see what you got here. Whoa. Toledo, Ohio. I got a message from Stripe yesterday that my payouts were paused. Listen, I feel you. QuickBooks also create an online bank too. That's right. I'm telling you, QuickBooks has been a quiet savior. I mean, it gets kind of crazy out here, but people are always like, yeah, I just want to do online business. And I'm like, are you creating value for people? Do people want to talk to you and share business ideals or different discussions with you? Do people want to work with you? Are people flexible with you? You see how PayPal working hand in hand with crypto right now? I have noticed that, and I'm in a couple groups where people are talking about it a lot. Lanny Skynet really out here convincing people to be homeless for clout. Yeah, and what you see is a lot of these couples. Even one couple, I liked them so much I shared them on here, and if they see this, I mean, it's all good. They were like, hey, like, it's they're stuck in Canada. Canada wouldn't let them across the border, because Canada's border's closed. You got to think about it. Most van life people spend the whole summer in the United States. We're the best place for van life. Mexico and the United States, the weather, the state parks, the activities, the parking is unlimited. If you're in Canada, there is like 3 weeks in the summer. That's amazing. I went to Banff, Canada in July, midweek July. It had a weird cold front come in. It was 40 degrees. It was like 32 degrees. I had to buy a sweater, a jacket, all this stuff. End of my trip, it went back up to 78 degrees. I took all the stuff off. That's their summer. Unpredictable, but mostly cold. And I lived in Alaska for 6 years as a young child. So I'm not speaking from like random, you're just talking about your one vacation you went to Canada. No, baby, I lived in Alaska as a kid. Cold, wonderful, beautiful summer is what you experience. So when you talk about having a border that's closed, a lot of these people in these van life were like, this. They're like, this is no. I mean, even the couple in the video goes, imagine spending a long, cold winter stuck in a van with your loved one. I love you, baby, but no. Even they were like, I love you. But we have been on the road 3 years and we done. We're burnt out. We're done. And so I respect that. I respect that they're open and honest with their followers to say, yo, we're going to get a cabin. And if we got to go, like, they looked at a cabin that was 2 hours away from Toronto. It was Ontario or Toronto. I think it was 2 hours away from Vancouver, maybe. And they were like, ooh, too high. And then they went 5 hours way out in the middle of nowhere. And guess what? When you're a married couple or you're a boyfriend, girlfriend couple, and it's just the two of y'all gonna go live out there and you still got all this internet access, that's what people will do. They'll move way far out as rural as possible, and they'll find a lot of projects. Because the further you get out of society and you're keeping chickens and dogs and cutting firewood, you're gonna have lots of daily activities. They may be really routine, but that you will have them. But it's better than a van. Lee G said, my mind can't even fathom living that. I was going to have, like, early this summer before all this COVID, I was going to take like a 3-week break, drive in a Tacoma with the camping part in the back, and go all the way to Canada. Literally drive from Texas to Canada, go to Banff, sit around, come back down, hit several state parks, and do the whole, like, half summer, half hotel, half like camp at the state park. And even then I was like, ooh, it's gonna be difficult, right? But even then, and then when cough happened, I was like, well, that blows that plan. I ain't doing that. Even I have a friend who's 6 foot tall, and she took her Honda Fit and converted it to sleep in the back. And by the time she got halfway through her trip going to like Maine, she was like, bump this, I'm going to hotels. I mean, it just is. I just want people to understand that, like, no matter how cool it looks, there's limits to everything. Oh gosh, it's going up. They had to disappear the coconut cowboys lifestyle. Listen, visa revoked, country closed. Yep. Yep. Things are changing. Too many unemployed folks looking for answers. Listen, even right now, when I go and look on Google Trends, the number one thing today, what do y'all think the number one thing was? Put it in the comments. Number one thing in Google Trends today. What was the number one thing? Put it in the comments. And I'm going to tell you what it was, but I was like, oh, yeah. So, Black but Monique. Rob, the Middleman to Millions course is essentially, you're going to be following, you basically have a breakdown and several people inside the course who show you how to essentially be a middleman for cleaning companies, painting companies. I basically show you what me and my friend Andrew Bryant did for 3 years, where we essentially booked the contractors. We essentially booked a lot of people to go do the job for us and got paid for it, and then paid our contractors. It's a great system. A lot of people do it. And people say, well, why would they do that, Erica? Why would they just not go get their own money? Have you met actual painters and construction guys? They work maybe Monday through Friday. 5 o'clock Friday is drinking party time. And so there's a lot of things of where some people are just really skilled, but they're not businessmen and women. And they don't book their own jobs, and they don't book their own stuff, and they don't use certain landing pages, and they don't use follow-up for reviews. If you actually look at trends with blue collar millionaires, most guys that make it have a wife or some type of sister or assistant that helped them make it. Because if you ever pay attention to a lot of contractors, which everybody in the comments right now, put one word in your mind that comes to your mind about contractors. Put it in the comments. I mean, this is like a serious thing. And so what ends up happening is I talk about in the course, and I actually show what I'm doing right now, which thank God I'm doing it because I would be have no money. The booking of the jobs at different, just let's do various lead generation sources, booking of the jobs, how you pay the contractors, how you write up contracts. That's Middleman to Millions. I essentially show what we did, and Andrew still does it now with fencing. I am now more cross section. I got a little bit of painting leads, I got a little bit of fencing leads, and I'm just divvying them out between 3 different teams. So, whew. And I'm probably gonna have our friend come on from Louisiana talking about his roofing and siding business. This dude is not a roofer and a sider, but he has a roofing and siding business. In his first week, got $35,000. So I definitely want to share his journey in there, but that will be in the Middleman to Millions course. And there'll be more updates after we look over QuickBooks. There'll be some updates on how this past month went, where I was out of town, and it was literally no contact with any of the properties. They had to literally go themselves, finish the complete job, and use QuickBooks to be paid. I'm going to share that probably towards the end of like November inside the course. But the Rise to 20% course is really more of, and it's on a little bit of break right now, but it's really like Tuesday, Thursdays, Saturdays, a combination of those days, live community interaction with each other, kind of increasing and encouraging each other through the Corona. And essentially people showing how they're still going about their business, how they're still going about their life. We brought on Charm City Buyers. We brought on Asia Denson. We brought on Pat O'Neill, who talked real estate and credit. We brought Credit Irene on talking about credit. We brought on Derek flipping houses. Talked about flipping houses in Houston, well, wholesaling in Houston. We've brought on Chase Tuning, who's a podcaster. We've brought on, gosh, who else? We brought on like 4 other people. There's a couple other more people we got to put up there, but we brought them on. And they talk about their expertise, their field, and what they particularly do, like whether it's Shopify, online, whether it's brick and mortar businesses, how Rona affected them and how they keep pushing through it, and how this is a great time. And so that's the biggest difference. Right 20%, kind of checking in, seeing how people's businesses are doing, being positive, interacting with each other, more mastermind style. The Middleman to Millions is more like, hey, this is how I'm doing these things, and this is where I'm getting contractors, and this is my results for November, and this is how we get leads for our business, and this is the Facebook business page I put together for it, and A, B, and C, right? So that's the difference between the two. I hope that was helpful. Let's see. Some nights you have to stay there. You have to. Job. Unemployment. You guys are getting it right on. Guru Trends #1 was unemployment. Working from home. Well, no, it just said unemployment. Right? So election, who's hiring? Listen, he should have gave them another check right before. So, oh yeah, been the bartender. Those guys work paycheck to paycheck for real. And 1 week you'll call them and you can kiss their ass. You can kiss their butt because they're busy and they don't care and they don't need you. Whatever, I'm busy. Can't do it this week. 2 weeks later, hey, how you doing? You know, just seeing how we can work with you. Seeing if you need us to go quote any jobs. Do you need anything? You know, we can get a real good deal in with you this week. We can work on discount this week. And boy, they're your best friend. But you call them on a week when they busy, they ain't got nothing for you, right? And that's the really truth of it. That's why we have the middleman to millions. And that's why, you know, I think we had Kamoy and we had oh gosh, out of Florida, the appliance repair queen. She was on and she talked about how she did her appliance repair business. And Kamoy is in Mexico. She's been literally in Mexico this whole time. And she has a cleaning business in DC, making pretty good money without her even being there. And so that's part of why I bring it up, is because you have people who are talented and they give the whole starting a business a bad rap because sometimes they overbook themselves, sometimes they don't complete the jobs, sometimes they can't find leads, and they're like, oh man, starting a business is so hard. I don't want to start a business. That's okay. Many of you on here are administrative people who work inside companies, and so you know how to book schedules, how to follow up, how to do reviews of people, how to get things done, right? Two different natures. I asked y'all what was the thing. Contractors, shady, con, unorganized, simple, con. Contractors got from job to job cases. Yeah, I'm going to do it by myself. They unreliable. A 6-pack of beer. Listen, I see so many people who will show a Modelo or beers laid around somewhere at a job site. Listen, when they were building that first house, it was the Modelo's in there all the time. Awesome course. Thank you, SNS Consulting. Listen, Robbie Rob, LOL. So true. I have a construction background. I know tons of contractors that have their wife do secretary stuff. And without their wife and without her constantly going, get your butt back out there, get your butt back out there, they don't know what their business is doing. They just know if they got a good truck, they got a work truck and a good truck, their wife got Pampers and food and she can shut up, and they're doing all right. That's how a lot of them live, and they're okay with it. I mean, you can talk to some of these guys, they're like, I just like doing what I do. That's the #1 thing you hear them say. Like, they could be broke as a joke. Like, well, I like doing what I do. I want to do what I like. I've had so many guys say that. It's annoying. Oh, I just like doing what I want to do when I want to do it, kind of thing. You're like, and that's why you're here, okay? Erica Jackson, inconsistent. Been the bartender, take the materials from one job to finish another. For real. Smoke the material, rob the listen, what's rob the client? Money but do. Yeah, he was inside the course too. Mobile Home Elite was also inside the course. Listen, a lot of these people are inside the Rise 20%. And again, in December, I think we have 31 days to give away in December. We're gonna be bringing all the people back on. Make everybody come on back through YouTube, come on back through the course, come and hang out, because I think it's really pivotal. You know, I'm really blessed that so many people came onto the course that gave their knowledge, they're helpful, they answer questions. Just a amazing course. And then 2, so many people are moving and shaking in this economy. It's so wonderful. And I've got to bring, Mobile Home Elite back on anyway. They just bought a whole trailer park, right? So there's a lot of people we want to bring them back on the show, and also bring them back inside the courses to talk about it, because they're doing so well in the middle of what it's depression, everything's going wrong. And I'm like, if you choose to. Hey, Erica, is there a link for the live classes? So inside the course, which we got to fix it. We've been having like the past 12 days. I kind of took a forced vacation. I had a death in the family, and also I was with my family in North Carolina. So took a forced vacation. We're going to have the Zoom links put in there, especially for the tax liens and for the middleman and the Rod 20%. So they'll have more Zoom links in there. Again, we're always finding ways to improve it and have more people join and participate. Facts, I've seen a situation where the guy doesn't even know what his schedule is. He literally calls his wife between jobs, like, where do I go next? Yeah, and this is why when we use the apps we use and it text reminds the maids to go where they're supposed to go, or they text remind the person what address and house they're supposed to go to, it's important because those guys are just like, all right, I'm done. I'm gonna go get some lunch. I mean, I've sat at I think I was at Five Guys one time. There was a group of guys in there just eating their whole little life away. And finally somebody checked their phone, was like, oh, we're late. And I'm like, I've been in here 30 minutes and y'all was here before I got here. So I know y'all been here a good hour, kind of thing. You're right, Corey. Diamond Media was also inside Rise to 20%. I'm gonna have to just do a whole little video. I apologize, everybody. I'm not naming who was in there. But yeah, we just had a ton of people in there. Helpful, valuable information, what they're doing, positive spin on 2020. And you need that. You just do. If you are going to let the TV wear you out, it will. If you let your family and friends wear you out, it will. And all this showed me is millions of people need work, one, and two, consistent work is better than big home runs because home runs aren't consistent, right? Better to have a bunch of $4,000 worth of work every week than, well, I had made $8,000 this week and then I ain't making it for 3 weeks. And that's the life of a lot of contractors. They live off referrals. They live off you telling your friends and family they was at your house. And, like just like the mobile mechanic, right? Mobile mechanic lives off you telling somebody or somebody's in dire need, when us as people who've worked inside or we're not necessarily, the mechanically gifted, we're looking at it from the perspective of keeping the schedule busy and keeping consistent income flowing and taking jobs, whether they're a big one or a little one, to fill the schedule, right? You've ever played Tetris? And Tetris has the big blocks and the little blocks and you're moving things around. A guy or girl who is busy don't have time to do that, right? So even now, I have Savannah in our office. She'll tell me my schedule for interviewing people, and her and the VA send me my schedule for getting on the phone calls with people. So sometimes I get on a phone call every time and be like, hey, I apologize. I didn't pop up in my notes. And everything runs on systems. And if you don't run it on systems, you are going to have a world of hurt, and that's the biggest thing I really try to get on. Sarah, people do not seem to listen that majority money is with hands-on jobs, plumbers, painters, heating, real estate investors. Sarah, listen, I keep trying to tell people who are watching this channel, you have 4 segments of our economy, and that's sales, managers, and that's managers in every single field you can think of, trade, and tech. Now, immediately people are like, well, I'm a nurse, I'm a doctor, I'm a this. Are you working with your hands? Are you touching people? Are you checking blood pressure? Are you touching their neck? That's a trade, baby. It's a glorious professional trade, but it's a trade, right? Same thing with a doctor. Like if you look, when we had Dr. Meadows come on the channel, he talked a lot about how he'd meet other doctors who were not necessarily broke because they were still working and making money, but they didn't have any investments. So they were just like you, working 9 to 5, like got to keep working to get the money in. And you live like that, boy, you'll work till you die, right? And so my biggest thing is I took on way too many projects this year, but now that I've been able to kind of slow it down, look at it, analyze it, I was able to kind of go, wow, I'm out of town for 13 days and you guys didn't need me. You went to the job site, you did the work, you finished it, took pictures, and you got paid. It's a win-win for everybody, right? And some people go, well, that's just too much, Erica, that's too much. I want to do this or that. At the end of the day, you can't do everything, right? Some people are like, well, Erica, you can do both. You can get online money and this. You can get tons of online money, but there's some things that are going to take up 80% of your time. 80-20. Sometimes I'm 80-20, 80% over here on this YouTube channel, giving it all that I got to give you. And then sometimes I'm working on actual businesses. Like the funny thing is this year, so many people are like, hey, you wouldn't come on my panel. You would come on my this or that. And I go, baby, I'm actually running companies. I'm not just online all day, which sometimes it looks like I'm not online all day playing. and creating things. I'm actually out here in the real world slaying dragons, talking to people, and actually enjoy that. Physically, face to face, seeing people and getting things done. Plus, there's a lot of ways now, which we'll bring it back up in the class again, where now you can get the person can get financing before you even get there, right? And it's through your link, so the company already knows that it's going to pay you, right? So Progressive Lease and some of the other ones, they'll give them the credit, but they already have assigned your name to it, so they can't go run off and use some other contractor. They got to use you. Boom. What did you say? Congratulations on your pilot's license. Are you going to buy yourself a plane? I think Wrigley Smiley has a pilot license too. Yeah, I think 1% of the multimillionaires have pilot's licenses like that. Right now, I'm just getting my hours up. A lot of people join a club. And last time when it was in 2008, when the recession happened, man, there were planes on sale, like brand new planes on sale for 100 grand, $50,000, $70,000. And that sounds crazy, right? You're like, Erica, that's the price of a house. But for a plane, yeah, some of those planes were 300,000 before the crash, and then they were 100,000. So it's like guys would partner up and buy a plane, and they would take people back forth to Florida and all that stuff from North Carolina. And so I got to see a lot of that, and that will come again eventually, unfortunately. Facts, big or small, take all jobs, they might lead to another. Facts. And here's the thing, you go to somebody's house, you do one job, you do it well, you act like you got some sense. First thing happens, they go, hey, can you come? Can you fix this too? Can you do that? I've even seen it with my own mother. She had somebody there that was for a back patio. Then she brought them in the house like, could you fix this? Can you fix that? Can you fix this? That's how you get more money out of those jobs. Now, many people are going to say, well, Erica, how do I stop my contractor from doing this or that while I'm there? You can't. You can't 100% stop people from getting them other work off to the side. Your goal is to call back, ask for a review, talk with them. Is there any other work we could help you with? Is there anything else you're looking for? Send out the online surveys and get them filled out and keep it moving. Tech jobs are great, but most people can't pass college algebra. And that's the misconception, though, Sarah, that everybody thinks every tech job has a ton of tech math. It's not true. A lot of tech jobs are tech sales, tech managers, people over the departments. Like even at Dell, the 80,000, almost 75 to $80,000 job I was trying to get was social chair, and that's just getting people to interact at work. So there's a lot of jobs around tech. My thing is, once you get inside the sphere of something, there are hundreds of jobs associated with it that may not have to be that. Stock traders, I would still put that under, I need to put that under sales or tech, honestly. Traders are about to become very important in New York City. Traders are always important, and they're not just important in New York City, they're important in New Jersey. That's why they always threaten New Jersey with the bounce, and they're very important in Chicago and Toronto. There's other stock market exchanges. Max says, what do you think about wages going up? Wages are not going up. If anything, wages are going down. Okay, that's another thing that was on Google Trends was like wages are going to go down, and even if they go up a little bit, you have inflation right now that's eating it up. Prime example, all the middle managers around the United States should be sweating bullets right now because companies are determining, hey, if we don't go back to the office for another year, do I need you? What do you do for me? Now, in an office setting, a middle management person deals with all the little people, right? Or deals with people who have all these questions all day. And for a while, I realized everybody was calling me all the time. I was like, hey, don't call me unless it's an emergency. Well, who told you to keep calling me all day? And what you have to do is train people to not call you all the time to figure it out. And so wages will not go up. That's just period. Wages have been stagnant for 30 years now. And they really don't have any incentive to go up. They just don't. Erica, we saw you giving people the business on Hustler Conference. Listen, I don't give anybody the business. I'm just being nice. I know a guy who did a little $80 job and turned it to $80,000 remodel plus yearly maintenance contract. That's right. It depends on how you come into the job setting. SNS, you don't need to know math. Yeah, you don't. Someone said manufacturing is dead and automation has taken over. I don't believe that. Let me tell you, you go to Dallas and try to sell that boat. You ain't, because I think 1,000 companies moved from all the Midwest to Dallas that are manufacturing. So there's still manufacturing jobs. There's still little things people need to do. There's all kind of stuff. Please don't believe the hype. Trust me. In Canada, when people say, "Oh, there's truck drivers on the road," which you'll see more truck drivers, which everybody's like, "Oh, there's gonna be less truck drivers." No, there'll be more. When men don't have any money, and then their families don't want them to be sitting around their house being a bum, they're gonna. And this goes with every recession. A lot of men go in the army, a lot of men go into truck driving, and a lot of men go into trades. They go work with the hands if all else fails. So with this one, this recession will be no different because it will be longer. But what you're going to see is a lot of women, and I'm not trying to be an a-hole, but I got to. I talked with Terry and a couple other women who are single women, and I'm like, we're really running businesses out here. We're like having to make sure we have our rent, making sure we cover everything, cover staff, da 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 da. And then there'll be married ladies who are like, "Oh, girl, I'm struggling in business too," and you're like, "Baby, stop. You have a whole husband paying your rent. You're not gonna go homeless if this don't go well. You're not gonna have a whole staff at manager because it don't go well." This is literally us. We're like single men out here having a whole business. Is a whole different bargain. So, not being an ass, I'm just being clear. So anyway, but again, people think oh, I want to be like that. That's not true. I will be in tech. I just got to tie up loose ends on these languages. I'm all for diving in, but I need to make max income. Screw that. Yeah. I mean, make as much money as you can. But again, at the end of the day, you still have to invest that money. Look at all the people in Detroit and other cities that made all this money. 55 an hour working on the plant floor. If you don't own a home, if you don't own a car, if you don't own land, if you don't have something making you money, what does that matter? It doesn't. If you don't have anything, if you don't own anything, it doesn't matter. There will always be a 20 to 40% population that will never own a home, never will buy anything. And it won't just be New Yorkers. It'll be a lot of people. It'll be a lot of baby boomers who they've never owned a home their whole life. And now they move south, they still ain't gonna own a home. They're gonna live somewhere they can rent. Somebody had made a comment about mobile home parks, and I was like, have you been to Florida? Some of the on the beach properties are trailers, or what we'd call modular homes. Really nice siding, but they're on the beach and they ride around their golf course. Those older folks can't afford, $1 million golf course homes, right? My apps, yes, it will. But that's why I really want people to take a minute, step back, and think about what you're saying is there's just always going to be a percent of the population that doesn't own, and they're gonna be paying their money to someone, right? There's a thing on TikTok, I shared it on Instagram, where the guy's like, "Yeah, see these Trumpers come up over here in the hood," and it flashes to this white guy walking down the stairs going, "Yeah, big boy, chill out. We own the hood. Y'all just rent." And I was laughing, but I was like, and that right there. You don't even own the place you're repping. You don't even own the place you're hollering about. You don't. And so they're sitting here talking about, yeah, ain't coming in this hood. It ain't even your mama's hood. It's not even your mom's house. And you're acting crazy like that. So, I mean, again, it's one of those things where you really want to talk to people and be like, hey, you guys, like, pull it together. Pull it together. 55 to 75 an hour, including benefits. Yeah, Mark. And that's why, I got in a disagreement with Asia because, they were fighting for more benefits, healthcare benefits. And it's like, yeah, it's real hard on your back. Baby, if you make 55 to 75 an hour, you can buy your own damn health insurance. Are you kidding me? No. Engineers make 55 an hour at temp jobs, and they pay for their own insurance. So should you. Yep, you see in Detroit tons of well-paid plant workers who don't have any investments aside from a Dodge Charger. Yeah, people live for the day hard. They're like, I'm gonna get my little piece of happiness. And you be like, baby, you paying $1,000 a month for a Dodge Charger? Come on now. What kind of happiness are you trying to chase? Puerto Rico voted in favor of becoming a state and against. What do you think are happening? Puerto Rico ain't never being no state. At this, they aren't. They're not going to be a state because right now they're very much a tax haven. If they become a state, they would be competing with Florida for a tax havenship. Now, should Puerto Rico be treated better? Yeah. I mean, I really think either let them be free or do something, make them a state, right? Because right now they're in a terrible limbo where, they were complaining, hey, we don't got no balance down here. We don't got nothing down here. And it's a shame. It's like we're holding that island hostage, in my opinion, but that's a whole other story. Martin said we own more than Dodge Chargers, but do y'all? UBI people, yeah, I mean, listen. And guess what will happen? If you have UBI, again, I keep telling y'all this. Let's say you have universal income for $1,000 a month, which they're trying out in Oakland to pregnant Black ladies or something like that. I can't remember. Your rent now, instead of being in a lot of these little nowhere places, that's $500, $400, or people like, oh, there's no way it's $400 rent. Same way with these van life people who are buying cabins in the middle of nowhere for like 10 grand and 15 grand. It will be the same with housing. Instead of you getting that $500 rent that makes sense for how much money you make in that small town or medium-sized town, all of a sudden, everybody rent gonna be $800 to $900 because they know you have UBI. And they can justify it. It happens in every military town. Every military town, whenever the BIH or BFH are messing it up, moves up, so does all the rent for the whole town. Right? I lived in, I didn't really live in Fayetteville. After college, I was there for a little bit and then left. But you'd have the rent be $750, and everybody's like, wow, used to be $650. Why is it $750? Oh, military moved up. Okay, then all of a sudden it jumped to $1,000. Whoa, why is rent $1,000 here? Ain't nothing here. Oh, military moved up to $1,000, right? And so it's just like it would just follow the trend of where the money is. So if you tell me the government's going to pay you $1,000 a month, and I've got some rinky-dink housing, I'm gonna make it $800 a month. You know what I mean? It just is what it is. That's right, Anthony Johnson. Guam is even worse. Oh yeah, I've heard story about Guam. All my precious metal dealers would run if it became a state for sure. Oh no, it popped up. I like your comment on another video about stop being greedy. Made money flipping houses. Don't think flipping 10 more will make you the same. Sometimes it's good to rent them out. It really is. Like, see, the thing is, people, I've met people who've been wholesalers of bird dogs their whole life. And I'm not trying to be an ass, but the thing of it is like, you're running around all day finding property for other people. You didn't find one or two to keep. Anytime I talk to anybody who's a real estate agent and they don't have any rentals, I just look at them crazy like, you've been a real estate agent for 20 some years. You never found a cheap property that was a steal for yourself to keep. Okay. That's all I need to know, right? Because that just doesn't make good math sense. If you are all about real estate and it is your everything, it is your wheelhouse, you will have rentals. That's a part of your, I mean, go read any book. That doesn't make sense. That's like selling Ferraris and then be like, I hate Ferraris. Why are you there? That doesn't make sense. Well, thank you, Alonzo Hall. I appreciate it. Well, thank you, Kevin Sam, for saying something about me. I appreciate it. I think something. No, UBI duty. What's going to happen with UBI? More people are not going to enter the workforce. They're going to stay home. Like, no, that's the whole thing with UBI. UBI is almost like Social Security, Medicaid. Like, in order for you to get it, you have to be at a disadvantage, right? They're not going to let engineers get UBI. No, that's not how that's going to work. Just like now, again, when people's parents get sick and they want to put them in a home, they go, where are your assets at? Because it doesn't make mathematical sense if your parents been here 70, 80 years on this earth and have no assets. So when parents get sick and people want to put them in a home, the state goes, well, do they have property? Do they have a house? Do they have a car? Essentially what the state is saying to you is, Where's your money? You've been here 80 years and you ain't got no money? That's what the state is essentially saying. And that's why you have the end of life estate stuff, and a lot of people start moving money around at the end of life, or having to put their daughter's name on the house so they can get it out of their name so they can qualify for Medicaid and Medicare. And that's just what it is, right? They're playing that game to get that housing for their parent. And I don't fault them. I'm just telling you that's what that paperwork is saying. So you have no assets. You 80 years old, been out here all your life. Nothing. So we had an uncle who we called him Wayward. He was a Rolling Stone, left his kids and his wife long ago. Well, when he came back late in life, it's not an uncle, this is a great uncle. He's like 80, he was 80 something. He came back into town. People were like, whoa, stranger, what you doing here? And our family was like, well, we'd love to take you in, but your own children won't take you in. So we ended up putting him in a home in town. And the people were like, okay, what's his assets? And we're like, man, he ain't got nothing. Got nothing. Nothing. He ain't got no car. He just rolled in here on the train. Like, ain't nothing left. And they were like, okay, well, we'll take his Social Security check. And we're like, all right. And his own kids were like, and so what happens is a lot of people are going to have to give up their parents' Social Security check to the nursing home place, so their parents at least have some place to see, some place to stay. So that's the thing of it. Martin, oh, you know what, Martin? I'm actually not a Trumper, but it's the devil you know. And it's also just common sense math. And it's also, when I see a scam, I see a scam. Oh, yeah. I mean, I've seen ladies get $800 in Social Security check, and they're like, oh, that's it? Oh, I'm going to go back to work. And I told people this right now. If we opened up mental health hospitals back up to the level they were in the 50s and 40s, and we start going around checking on all these homeless people, a lot of people would all of a sudden become unhomeless real quick. Like, oh, I'm good. Don't put me in that place. I'm good. I'll go do whatever. I'll get out the street. I'll get from over here. Like, immediately. Because that's essentially those people were be in a home. So, but yeah, so that's essentially why I did this show, why I talked about it, and how you have to, like, I put it on the course too, like, you have to almost be like one step ahead of third-party platforms, because it's your money. You have to fight for your money and make sure you get paid as you use this internet to make money. And if you don't, then you got a bunch of invoices and people looking at you crazy like, hey, where's our money? And you're like, hey, dude, where's my money, right? And many people are gonna say, well, Erica, you just have more savings and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, then you don't understand the velocity of money. That's just all there is to it. If $50,000 stops for 1 month for you, you're going to have some issues too. Okay, that's just is what it is. And so I'm breaking a lot of that down in the course. And I'll have that release out probably next week or something to that effect for Black Friday, getting ready for Black Friday. But a lot of people they don't understand that, oh, I'm going to do online and I'm going to put stuff online. I'm going to sell stuff online. It's going to be great. And I'm like, every business has a problem, boo. Every business. Curry McCoy, listen, I hate that if you talk self-empowerment or you're against welfare, people instantly call you a Trumper. I know. But here's the thing. It's an easy way for people to argue with you, right? Because at the end of the day, you know, we all know what happens to the animals at the park. If you feed the animals at the park, then they keep coming back, and then eventually the city has to put them down. This happens with bears in Alaska. This happens with all kind of animals. It happens with raccoons. Yeah, I do know. It's basically like when you get ever so many fraud alerts, it triggers in the system, and then they ask me to show documentation that I spoke to the clients, and I talked to all these different people, and then they slowly, 35, almost 37 days later, released everything. And so the crazy thing about it is, imagine if I was like using Stripe like I used to for my painting company. Oh, I'd be in a world of hurt. And so that's why this time I went around and made sure I got a merchant account so that when I and use QuickBooks, because QuickBooks is a good fight. QuickBooks will fight for you because they work with so many businesses, that's where Stripe and some of this other fintech is getting behind the eight ball, because they don't fight for you. They go, well, somebody did a complaint, send us some documents, we'll look at it. And it's like, oh no, somebody complains, I want you to go fight tooth and nail. The majority of people that have a successful amount of money do not blabber their mouths about it for good reason. Well, honestly, they just don't. Let's be really honest. Let's be really honest. Let's have an honest moment, Q James, because Q James is saying something that is 2% right and 2% wrong. If you've ever lived in really nice neighborhoods, people who live in really nice neighborhoods stunt, but they only stunt where they live. Like, hey, come see my pool. Come see my heated pool. Come see, we put a pizza oven in outside. Come see all this stuff. Come see our TVs in the backyard. Come hang out over here. Bring your kids in on Friday. Oh, come on over here. It's different, okay? It's not the same, but it's different, right? Prime example, I went to the racetrack when they had the Indy cars out. You're talking about Germans, Italians, Dubai people, Israelis out there. You're talking about money out there. And it's funny that I saw other business people out there. I was like, hey, right? The thing about it is, be careful. To certain people, right? Let's be really honest. If I go to certain masterminds or events, we're all talking money in there. If I go sit in certain rooms, we're all talking money in there. Period. Because that, it's not an issue, right? When people tell you to humble yourself, you already know who you're dealing with. You're dealing with somebody who broke. You're dealing with somebody who's angry about it. You're dealing with somebody who's having some kind of friction in their heart towards you. And you just go, okay, that's not my problem. That's your problem. You know what I mean? And so this is part of too why I did the channel, because I think the number one thing when I was on the plane last week, I think it was Cleveland. Which one was it? No, it was when I was in North Carolina. And the guy was like, oh, what do you do? And I think because he saw me messing with my laptop, he made a comment like, oh, she's going to say something to you. You better put your laptop up. I said, sir, I fly like 50 times a year. I'm good. I'm just going to charge my laptop. He's like, oh, well, what do you do? And I said, oh, I'm just checking on our rental properties in Cleveland and Detroit. Oh, wow. Like full time? Yeah, full time. And so what ends up happening is people see you and associate certain things with you. Unfortunately, and this is like in first class, and that's what's so funny about it. But they have to break the stereotypes in their head. So stereotype wise, oh, those people never talk about money. No, just they don't talk about money with you. That's it. They talk about money for sure. You got money, they call you a trumper. Listen. Yes, Junie, and this is agreed. This is why most people, again, Junie's point is what I'm trying to get you to see. Welfare sucks, but not in the way most people think. It's a trap to keep people in poverty. Not because it's enticing, but it's because it's punishing people who try to get out, right? So when I was over Section 8, over here in Pflugerville, when I first moved to Austin, assistant manager, there were people in there who were getting their second degree. They were getting a master's degree. You're talking to them. They are capable, smart people. And this one girl had 2 kids, and all she ever did was be in school. She never had a real job. Never, not one job. She went straight from high school, had a baby. Her parents took her over so she could get Section 8, moved her out. And ever since then, she's been going to college. Never had a job. 25 years old, never had a job. And so we say, oh man, now you got your master's degree in HR, man, you can go ahead and go to work. Yeah, if there wasn't a recession in Texas, we're all looking in the office at ourselves thinking she was telling a joke. We were getting ready to bust out laughing. She was serious. And she was like, well, yeah, it's real hard trying to find an office job. And now I'm not trying to be an a-hole, but I'm looking at the girl. I'm like, you've never had a job, but you want to go straight to an office? First of all, honey, never have I seen you in an outfit that would work in an office. 2, you don't have any experience. So I'm naming off H-E-B, Home Depot, Lowe's, and her face turned sour. Like what? And I'm like, yeah, honey, they have a whole HR department in the back. Oh, I don't know. I'm trying to get towards an office. And I'm like, that's the trap. She ain't really paying nothing for rent. She has 2 kids. She's never had a job. And now she wants to be picky before she goes into the workforce because there isn't the pressure of rent and living and food there. It isn't there. Her daycare is paid for. Her housing's paid for. There's no stress to that. See, people don't want to hear that part though. They think we're being a-holes when we say something. And you got to think about it. We had one lady whose sons were graduating. They were twins and they were graduating, get ready to go off to college. And she's so happy. And she's like, yeah, I took them down there to go get food stamps so they could have food while they're at school. Now, we talk to these kids. These kids are bright kids who are getting full scholarship to Aggie Land. They have food at the school. They have food cards they're getting. They got a full ride because they're so smart. But that's all she could give them. That's all she could think to give them was like, hey, I'm gonna take you down here and I'm gonna get you in, I'm gonna get your food stamps, I'm gonna get you registered, I'm gonna fill your paperwork out and show you how to fill out the paperwork. And we were talking to her because at some point she was going to have to get out of there's only a few 3-bedrooms in the apartment complex and move down to a 2 or 1 bedroom. She was dreading that. She's like, well, my kids might visit home or school. And we're like, yeah, but the government gave us all this paperwork for you to do an assessment for you to downsize your house, right? And so instead of her thinking like, man, it's time to transition out of this. My kids are 18, they gone. She had a job. She wasn't not working. She had a job. This became a way of life. And so when people get mad at me, I'm like, go read the book, Nickel and Dime. Go read the book Switched. Go read a couple different books where it talks about people when they start making a certain amount of money, the government pushed them off the system. And now that little bit of gap space they thought they were safe and secure, they don't have anymore. So, Martin, I'll be back up in the D here shortly, back in Detroit, not the D, but the Detroit shortly because I have to keep checking on properties and Home Depot's supposed to put a fence up. So, QuickBooks. So listen, oh my goodness, oh gosh, it moved up. Mark A, I just want to thank you. Made business move without a website and got business going. Whoop whoop, get it. What's up, Michael? Oh, Ray, every time I'm in first class, people are like, hi, what do you do? There you go. I remember you said they told yeah, somebody told me to humble myself. They would never say that to another man. Never. Never. Humble yourself for what? Exactly. Entitled individuals are dangerous people for sure. Detroit's D. Dallas is the big D. Listen, I'm gonna tell Asia that. I'm gonna write that down. Y'all think I'm joking. Oh, Black Beauty, I'm gonna put that on Instagram for sure. But yeah, I just want you guys to understand that, like, with every business come struggles, come problems. Whether you're dealing with people and trucks, whether you're dealing with different things. And so next year's content, you're going to see a lot more real estate and probably a lot more of my other businesses. Not because I don't love trucking, didn't enjoy trucking, didn't enjoy running trucking business. It's just one of those things where you're like, I'm in the business, I see how it works, and I'll talk more about it in depth offline or in some of my classes. But it's the gold rush, right? Who made the most money off the gold rush? Put it in the comments. Who made the most money at the gold rush? Was it the guy panning gold or was it the guy selling the shovels? Right? And there's a lot to that. Ray, not really. And then I would say if they do, or they'll say stuff like, must be nice. Right? Or 1 month I was very full of anxiety, stressed out. And my family's like, if you just eat out less, that'll save you some money. And I'm like, y'all, the amount of money I make a month, spending $20 on some lunch takeout isn't going to save me much, right? But it's where they can think to help you. It's from a level of what they like, hey, yeah, if you do this, it'll be helpful. And you're like, okay. When men say that, tell them to pull their skirt down. I had to take jobs I didn't like to gain experience. Yeah, good to learn. Thank you. Thank you. Congrats on my pilot license. I appreciate it. And I'm still a student, y'all. The people who sold stubbles, yes. Oh my goodness, somebody came in here. F.K. Williams. Look, y'all. I want y'all to notice that. Look at the salt. Not that, hey, you're an amazing woman who's accomplished and working hard and paying payroll, putting Black men and Hispanic men to work and putting white men to work and women in your office to work and paying their mortgage and their rent and taking good care of 22 families right now. No, no, no. You're arrogant. Isn't that beautiful? Look at that, y'all. Why don't you look at it? Before I block him, I'm going to block him completely off the channel, but I just want you to see that. That's what came to their mind. They watch this channel. They see a woman who has 22 people on payroll, who's taking care of people, who's trying to do right by people. But you know what I mean? I know you're joking, F.K. Williams. I just like, why you messing with me? Why you messing with me? But F.K. Williams is nice. I'm gonna leave you up there. I'm gonna leave you in here because I think you're joking. But just in case you're not, I'll leave you in here just for a little. Okay. We'll leave it in here. We're gonna leave it in here for today. Man, listen. Let me tell you something. If you ain't in the market, you ain't in the market. I hate when people try to tell you to time it because they can't time it, baby. I eat good. That's how my family is. They feed anyone. Never been food poor. That's them Southern roots. I'm telling you. I don't even tell my family about my problem. I really don't. Them Starbucks is expensive, Erica. You always drinking them Starbucks. I'm like, what are you talking about? Double secret probation. He said it was a compliment. I'll reread it again. My bad. But yeah, I mean, it just I want y'all to understand that, what you're getting ready to come up on Black Friday. Okay. Okay. You're getting ready to come up on Black Friday. And everybody's gonna be selling something. And I just want you to understand. Are they selling you the system? Or are they selling you gold nuggets? Right? Because if they're not selling you a system on how to step by step do it, and then duplicate what they're doing themselves, I want you to be keyword doing themselves. Run, okay? Because people are out here selling stuff that they are not doing themselves. Okay? Because, and that's the key part of all this. Somebody's telling you something, how to do something, you need to ask them, how many are you doing? How many have you done? How many times have you done that? When are you doing it? Are you currently doing it? Right? Or have you just done it in the past? It's a question to ask. Okay. Okay. And that's not throwing any shade. That's just being really, really truthful. So yeah, Robbie Rob selling. No, no, no. I mean, here's the thing, and I'm gonna say this, and again, when people say, hey, I'm gonna jump into real estate in 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, that don't make sense. And I've been saying it for 3 years. You can check this channel. You can check this channel. I've been saying it for 3, 4 years now. If you're not actively in the real estate market with your finger on the pulse or a catalog of people that will call you if a deal comes by, you're at the end of the food chain, which is okay. You still can buy and still get money, but just remember where you at in that food chain. Okay. The wholesaler, the bird dog that's out there in the streets taking pictures, drive by a deal machine, host it, picture. They're on the front of the line. Then the next is the flipper or the guy who buys and holds, right? Can also be in that position. And then next is the person, maybe the real estate agent, who they can never get the home wholesaled. And so somebody calls a real estate agent like, well, hey, you just put on the MLS. Now it's on the MLS. I mean, again, there's a food chain system. And I told you guys, I was studying Austin's market, and people were like, oh my God, real estate's going down. And it was like a little blip where everything went from 220 to 185. And it was like all these agents were reducing it. And as soon as they reduced it, boom, gone off the market. Now there is nothing in that squeeze space. You have to literally go an hour outside of town for that squeeze space, or 40 minutes outside of town for that number. Now you're talking about 250 to 350, right? And everything is wiggling in between those numbers, trying to get that good deal for 250, right? And so if you're not in the market, if there's an amazing sale and nobody knows you, Sister Crystal, why would they call you, Sister Crystal? Like, hold on, y'all, wait a minute. Let me call Sister Crystal. She's been thinking about it, but I'm going to call her and tell her where this good deal is. Prime example, if you go on loopnet.com, by the time you go on loopnet.com and look at a building, everybody that could buy it right away looked over it. Let me say that again. You go on loopnet.com and you see all these apartment buildings and there's commercial buildings on there. You're like, oh my God, it's for sale. By the time it's got on LoopNet, you have to think that broker who booked that place, he called everybody he knew who could make a quick sale, and none of them wanted it. Now it's out here on the LoopNet. So by the time you call him, oh yeah, it's a great deal. It's a great deal. Then why has nobody else wanted it? Most of these off-market deals, like I'm on several people's email lists, you'll see some house and it was a hoarder or some old lady living there, and she just lucked out and they got that on their list. And then that house is going off the market. It's not on MLS. The off-market deals. There's a lot of stuff going on, but people just don't. If you're not in the chain of in someone's email list or talking to somebody consistently or buying in the market, why would they remember to hit you up? It's called Hill Country, but you could be talking about Westlake. You could be talking about Wimberley, well, where all the wineries are. You can talk about several parts of Austin. Oh yeah, property appraisers make a ton of money. In Dallas, there's only like 1% black men that are property appraisers. And trust me, you're making $400 to $600 every time you go appraise a house. And sometimes they do 3 to 4 houses a day. Yeah, you making money. Facts, folks be selling blueprints. I'm telling you, been the bartender. Selling systems they don't even use. I'm just trying to give you all here. How those Bastrop speed trucks? Listen, Chris McDonald. Yeah. LoopNet is last resort. Yes, Martin, they are, and that can present challenges as well, right? If you have them under your name, quicker refinance time frames and all that good stuff like that. But yeah, Westlake. Justin, they're gonna tear a lot of these malls down. They're gonna tear a lot of these malls down. Like I went back to my hometown in Fayetteville, North Carolina, and they tore the whole Sears down. Just tore it down, and they're gonna build like some kind of commercial something on it. That's right. People have been buying real estate for the last 5 years. Always can find a deal. There's no need to wait a couple years for jumping in. It really does. And there's nothing like people go, man, I got too much information, too many decisions to make. And what I try to tell them to do is like, take a deep breath, listen, like figure out what system would work best in your wheelhouse. What is it that you already do well that you can add to, right? You don't have to go reinvent the wheel on your life. But again, it's one of those things. So anyway, but I'm going to get out of here. You guys been here an hour, 14 minutes. It's late. But yeah, it's been a learning lesson on how third-party platforms will lock your money up. So it is what it is. So everybody, this is your girl Erica from the Classic Climb blog. I hope you guys have a wonderful evening. And if you want to get on the email list, everybody keeps asking me how to get on. Go over to the blog, classyscl.com, and type yourself in and you'll be on the email list. So, all right, everybody. Later.